Hey guys, Jordan Stauffer here with Rounding Third Baseball Performance. Just wanted to bring a segment today on how you can better individualize your hitters in a team setting. I've coached both in the Division I college arena and now in the private sector, but still in group settings. And there's a lot of strategies I wish I would have used a little better, wish I would have thought through a little better, but that can really help you get what you want and get changes that you want out of your hitters, even though you're working with somewhere between 8 and 15 guys at a time. So I want to give you some strategies that I really feel make a lot of sense, a lot of common sense. And so we want to first attack the low-hanging fruit. So we want to make sure that we know that we try one adjustment, because everybody has that one adjustment that could fix 2 or 3 other things in the swing or in their game at bats. So we want to work to find that one adjustment. The next thing is ensure that you're addressing causes rather than symptoms. I think commonly we see something going on like a dipping of the back shoulder or lunging forward prematurely, and those are kind of symptoms of a bad sequence or things that have kind of gone awry, and there's other ways we could probably address that that's a lot more external and a lot more environment driven. And the last thought I have is make sure we take a common sense approach to what we want out of our offenses. If it were my offense if I'm coaching a 12, 14-year-old team or even higher, I want my whole unit, my offensive unit, to execute, do damage, find lots of barrels, and put pressure on defenses. That's my bottom line. That's what I need. So am I actually creating the environment that yields that sort of thing? So here's my bang for your buck strategies that I feel are really, really beneficial. Number 1, get external, meaning let's get away from the body. We have very minimal time each day, sometimes 30, 45 minutes, and maybe it's only twice a week in some cases at the youth levels that we're getting with our guys. So do we really want to get mechanical, if you want to call it that, or really movement-based? I don't know. I think there's a lot of other things that we could probably try first that are going to give us more bang for our buck. So what I mean by get external is let's focus on the environment. Let's see if we can create a place for that hitter to experiment a little bit and to trust himself and to trust you. And so number 1 would be targets. So change your target. If a guy is really struggling, let's change the target. Or you could call it turn the field around, or you could call it, hey, we're going to hit a ball as far as we can right here. We're going to hit it to left center, right center. We're going to hit a power oppo ground ball to second base. We have all sorts of options there, just depending on the guy. So it takes a little bit of work on the coach's part, but that's what coaching is kind of realizing where guys' deficits are and how we're going to improve that to make them better as a whole and to make our team better as a whole. The next thing you can do on the external side is think of a speed goal. Tell guys about speed goals. It's amazing how much you can get out of just telling a guy, dude, you need to hit balls harder. Like the ball needs to get hit harder. Your body needs to move faster. And that's a little more internal, but maybe use that as a second resort. But move the pipe faster, move the sword faster. Be high energy. Get your motor turned a little faster. So I love speed goals. Something really clicked with me as a player with speed goals. It doesn't work for everybody, just like targets don't work for everybody. And the last thing I would say was maybe distance goals are even good. Like I said before, hitting the ball as far as you can. Act like you're playing fungo golf, like you're trying to hit a hole in one. So those are some really easy, simple strategies. There's a lot more. I am trying to fit this into a box here, but get external with guys. The second bang for your buck strategy that I really, really like is messing with loads or timing mechanisms. So allow guys to play around with the leg kick. Allow them to play around with the toe tap. Widen out and go no stride. Do that all in the same batting practice rounds. Let them feel what changes from round to round or swing to swing. They may even make some sort of hybrid loading mechanism that you would have never expected because they're sitting there experimenting. One thing we know about guys that are really, really good in this game is they've spent a lot of time doing it, a lot of time on their own, by themselves when no one's watching, experimenting and feeling things out. So we want to kind of do that in our practice because it allows for that really good learning environment, and it gets kids that freedom, and we want to give them some freedom. We want them to be excited about coming to practice and excited about being hitters. So the other thing I really like about that loading piece, or about changing timing mechanisms, is once guys have a little proficiency with it, now we can get really weird. You can put a tennis racket in their hand. You can put a short bat, long bat, handle load bat, heavy bat. You have all sorts of options now to further increase some opportunities for learning and still getting them really, really good feedback and forcing them to find barrels. The last bang for your buck strategy I'm going to talk about is posture. Posture dictates function. So if we're not actually in a position or a foundation where we can move better from that position, we're probably hugely missing the boat. So there's huge opportunity by just playing with posture. One way you can do this is just starting posture. So if you have a guy with really, really high hands and he ends up really, really dropping as he goes and gravity's fighting him the whole time, maybe start him lower. Maybe let him feel where he needs to move to get his hands behind him at a certain point. So I won't get into swing mechanics there, but it might change something, and you don't have to talk too much. You don't have to tell him too much information. In fact, sometimes that's really, really bad. Just be like, hey man, I want you to try to start in a different position, swing the same, but I want to see how you move out of this spot. Another example would be like guys who are really, really too tall. Hey, let's get a little bend in the hips, right? Bend in the hips is huge. If we're in hip flexion, we can now go into hip extension with a little more force. You've never seen a basketball player jump from this position and get out of there very well. You need to be in flexed postures, whether it's the knees, the hips, even a little bit through the thoracic spine. We need to have some sort of flexion so we can get into extension. And that's a little more kinesiology, but I am addressing posture. Posture is a huge deal for us, okay? Hips, spine, shoulders. How do we look in our starting posture? And then the second thing is, how do we look when we get to launch position? Because launch position is that final point when prior to me turning. And if I'm too tall or have really poor pelvic and rib cage posture by the time I'm in launch position, I'm probably not rotating super well. I'm probably not very consistent with my barrel's entry into the zone and continuation through the zone. Guys, those are my bang for your buck strategies. Please holler at me. You can find me at Hitting for Power on Twitter. You can go to my website, rounding3.com, and subscribe. I am happy to email you back, give you some other tools and strategies. Yeah, thanks for listening.